Hey guys, I'm here at the finish of the first day of testing with the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. Did I like this bike? I'll tell you more now about it, because there's a lot to say. The bike has completely changed. I had the privilege to also ride the previous model, and I had gone a few years ago to Wales and had ridden these bikes in the mud. Today we are here in Portugal at the Wim Motor Academy, an amazing place, a paradise for off-road riding. And the bike has completely changed. Even the feeling you have when riding is completely different, because the bike not only lost 25 kilograms, it also has been slimmed down thanks to the engine that has been moved forward. The frame and the tank just are slimmer. The tank is 20 liter on the Rally Pro, and on the Rally Pro Explorer it's 30 liters. Good combination to get enough mileage. The bike is much more agile. It almost doesn't feel like a 1200, and I'm serious. If you get the chance to try it, I believe you'll feel the same. Once you get a bit of confidence with it, and you put it obviously in the off-road pro mode where you have no ABS, no traction, no controls, no, nothing breaking your balls when riding, then it's lots of fun. I played around a bit with the settings. First of all, I started with the seat in the lowest position, because it has two positions. The lowest position is about 870 millimeter from the ground, and I felt not so comfortable, mainly with my balls, because I could feel a bit the front tank. But then I moved it and I put it on the second setting, the higher one, which is 895 millimeter from the ground. It was much easier to ride. First of all, I could ride the bike also sitting down, whereas with the lower position wouldn't feel so great. But with a higher position, I could also, for someone that eats that amount of junk food like me, it was a bit less tiring to get up from the seat when I had to stand up. This is a bike that you have to ride mainly standing up, because it has a handlebar with a very high angle, and it felt to me that the most comfortable and where I had the most control was when I was riding it standing up. The other settings I played around with were the suspensions, the dynamic suspensions. You can set them in the dashboard. You have 9 or 11 or 10 different levels of stiffness. I started with the normal, so more or less the halfway mark, and then I pumped it up all the way to the top, so maximum stiffness. And I feel that for off-road riding you should set it to the maximum stiffness, because the problem was, having it halfway through, the bike would be very comfortable if you're riding slow, but if you start pushing a bit, it starts to move a lot. Whereas when I went full stiffness, it just felt more precise, especially entering turns or going downhills or in ruts. I felt more confident. It happened, but I don't know if I filmed it. On one point I was overtaking a guy. I was full throttle, probably 130 or something. There was a big hole with water, and I thought, fuck, I'm gonna, explode. But the bike did a good job. Even at that speed, when I hit that obstacle, it just kept its line. I was relieved. This bike, once you start riding it and you put kilometers in, it really builds your confidence and lets you push a bit more, because when you're in the off-road pro mode with no ABS and no traction, the bike is very reactive. So even in the changes of direction, it's agile. It doesn't feel like a 1200. It feels almost like an 800 to ride. In fact, if we want to compare it to the 900 Tiger, it doesn't feel that different. And if I had to tell you, I didn't expect this, but I would prefer buying the 1200 than the 900. And I think that if you get a chance to try both bikes, you would think the same. The reason behind this is the engine. It's extremely smooth. It gives you too much traction. At one point we were taking photos and I wanted to drift it, and it was almost impossible if you didn't have a really high speed, because even in third gear, if you pin it down, always find traction. 12 traction surely is also the tires that are mounted on this bike, the Michelin Anarchy. These are different from the OEM tires, but these are homologated tires so that you can put on this bike and be road legal. Other small aspects but that I really appreciated and I don't give for granted, especially on 1200 bikes, adventure bikes, are the foot pegs. These foot pegs actually are wide enough and give you a good solid grip with your boots that you can really apply pressure on the foot pegs, not having your foot just slide out. And in situation where you're riding technical stuff, so slow speed, but you really need to put pressure to go up some hill, it really helps. Same goes for the seat. The seat has very thick foam and soft, so just check how soft it is. And if you are a sort of fat sausage like me on long rides on asphalt or where you're sitting for a lot of time, it's really nice to have. Lastly, the exhaust. When I saw it, I thought it's a bit undersized for a 1200 adventure bike. If you see how slim and small it is, this on one side is a really good thing because, you know, in case of crash, it's less exposed than a bigger, bulkier exhaust. But I thought the noise will suck, but now I'll turn it on and you'll hear it. It makes really a nice noise. Today when we were taking shots, we could hear each other from far away and it made a really distinct sound, so no need to immediately upgrade the exhaust. From this angle you can see how slim and nice design the front tank has. Also it has on the side the twin radiators that deflect the hot air away from the rider, meaning in summer this bike will be surely comfortable to ride. Another feature I really liked was the hill hold. Now I'll show you. It's practically when you're going up a hill and you stop, you go on the front brake twice and the bike locks the brakes, so that then, you know, you can start over again without having to worry of going backwards and crashing. This system on-road is useful, but off-road it's even more useful, especially on a big adventure bike, 1200 adventure bike, because it happens to everyone that going up some hill, you have some second of hesitation. In that moment you have the hesitation and you stop. At least you'll press twice the front brake and you'll be able then to start over from there, because when the bike feels it's moving, it will unlock the brakes. Speaking about the pricing, the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro is priced in Italy at 22,700 euros, VAT included. Just wanted to show you the swing arm. What you think? I find it sexy. It's nice to have such different swing arms to the ones we are used to see. The whole bike looks really nice. One feature I also love is the fact that you can remove the subframe. It's bolted on, meaning that in case of a big crash you will be able to just replace the subframe without having to replace the whole frame. But if I need to tell you something I didn't like, is the fact that if you take off the dashboard, the bike won't work. Meaning I can't turn this in a rally bike and put some tower and roadbook on. Not that easily, because I'd probably need to speak to Triumph on how I should modify the wiring. Another thing I didn't like too much is the grips. The grips are a bit hard. I wish they had a bit softer grips, and when we had the seat in the lower position, this would protrude a bit too much, and when I was sitting down it would, you know, be too close to my balls, and that would make me worry if I have a crash. But in the higher position, no problem at all. Okay guys, today we tested, this is the second day we tested the GT version. We went on road, but also had the chance to go with the Rally Pro Explorer. What can I say? For me, it felt like the rally version that has the 21-inch front wheel was more comfortable. I felt safer, even though speaking with the other riders that most of them come from road background, so from naked bikes, sports bikes, they all prefer this bike. For me, this bike is more a bike to use maybe in the city. For sure, if you're a road rider and wanna, push in the turns, you have a bit more control, because with the 21-inch, it takes a bit more time to insert the bike into turns. But on both bikes, then I tested the different maps, from the road map to the sport map. The road map is extremely comfortable. It's good if you're cruising around, you're with your girlfriend and just want to ride around and don't want to get her scared. But if you want to have fun, you go in the sport mode, and the bike not only changes in the throttle response, because it has much more torque, but also the suspension, the dampening is much stiffer, and this lets you attack every turn with much more speed. Whereas when they're set on normal, on the halfway mark, they are comfortable if you're riding slow. So if you try to push, the bike starts moving a bit. Speaking instead about the aerodynamics of the bike, the front windshield gives a good protection to the front of the rider, the helmet and the chest, but it leaves a bit exposed the shoulder, so I would feel a bit the air coming on my shoulders, but you can adjust it in height, and maybe you can add some deflectors as an optional. All in all, this feels a real sincere bike, because it gives you a nice feeling. If we compare it to the previous version, you have to think this is not an improved version of the Tiger 1200. It's a completely new bike, and that's the feeling you have when you're riding it, because the improvements have been so many in the feeling the rider has that it's worth the upgrade. If I had to choose between the 5 versions, GT, GT Pro, GT Pro Explorer, and Rally Explorer and Rally Pro, I would personally go probably with the Rally Pro. It has the 20-liter tank, and it's just so capable, as you've seen in the off-road, that it's super enjoyable, but at the same time on the road, you'll leave your friends behind if you start pushing. I was expecting much more difference in feeling riding the Explorer version, which is the one with 30-liter tanks compared to the 20-liter tank, but in reality I didn't really feel that much. And on the road, probably in certain situation, it almost felt better with the 30-liter tank, because the front end, just felt I could have the weight transfer more on the front wheel and have more traction entering the turn. The prices in Italy start from a bit more of 19,000 euros all the way to 24,000 euros, but then depends on the optionals you put on. Surely a really good adventure bike. I feel it has done a big step forward. If we want to compare it to the competition, I believe the issue that many people don't associate the Tiger as a really capable off-road bike, but it's actually more capable of other brands that are considered, the leading adventure bikes. Speaking about braking power, it's super powerful, but on the asphalt, I was pretty pleased on the asphalt on how modular the front brake felt, even though we have, the Stylema Brembo brakes with the twin disc. I always had a good feeling, even when I was halfway through the turn and maybe I was ending up a bit out of the lane, I could, push a bit more the brake without having the fear of closing the front end. Here from Portugal, we've come to the end of our test. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, leave the comment below, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!